Some of you, I think one or two of you participated in this one. It was a presentation of this nature play park that we worked together. That not we, but the Unit 5 and the architects and designer. They work with the town. This $5 million nature play park, and so it was a really nice presentation. I think some of you did attend, and so we're waiting for this to be. I don't know if they started yet, but it will be done like this year, 2022.
Yeah. Some of the work was performed in the fall, but most of it will be anticipated this upcoming spring and summer.
Okay, yeah. So by later this year, we'll be able to, the kids and parents, families will be able to enjoy this really unique nature play park.
Hey, I have a question for the last slide. For the Facebook, is that Greenways Facebook page, or is that a different page?
It's our Facebook. Yeah, the actual the MCRPC. We provide staff support to the Greenways Committee, so it's through us, and also within our website. Glad you bring that up. Within our website, also we have links to Greenways or the activities and programs. So when you get a chance to browse through that, you'll find more information about the Greenways.
Thanks.
Thank you. So where to go next? Credit of the picture to Deanna. Nice picture. Currently, staff has been working with Ms. Fauci and other person on the committee in utilizing QR code to allow the public, when they go to a park, use QR code, scan in and find more information about a specific park or greenway. So we're doing a pilot project right now. So we're doing kind of research on how we can capitalize technology, despite technological problems sometimes, to really use that, and then we can start applying to other greenways and parks. But so we're doing kind of pilot, looking into what's the best way to use that technology. Greenways in you. So it's not just committee, it's not just the MCRPC staff, but we also invite all of you and the public people on the call today, and your friends, families who are interested, contact me or our office. We'll get you involved. Some of the Zoom meetings that we had, there was like 70, 80 people from the community who joined. So there's a lot of interest in the community. And then on the Pentagram, if you have noticed, sometimes you see front page like articles with pictures highlighting some of those greenways and parks, because the person who wrote the article, she's one of the enthusiasts and activists for the greenway. So take advantage of this great assets. I know there's more to be done, and we need all the efforts and help we can. So questions, anything? I try to answer. Take care of you. Thanks a lot for your attention. So yeah, we'll continue to provide the staff support. And this is a little bit unusual. It's the greenways, but from a transportation planning perspective, let alone recreational health sides of having the greenways, is an alternate mode of transportation, connecting from point A to point B. And so the highways departments, where the national
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So transportation departments on the state and national level, they recognize the local, regional level the same way. It's transportation, greenways is really alternate way to get people around you. So
Mike Doherty is on the call.
Oh,
good. Make any comment.
Oh, thank you.
You hear us, Mike?
Yeah. So
yes.
So our new 2022 chairperson of the Greenways Committee, Mike Doherty, as the chairman noted, Mike, if you want to say a few words. I don't know if you, because we had some technical difficulties, if you were able to listen in my presentation.
Yes, I saw watched your presentation there. Thank you very much. It was a good presentation and overview of the Greenways Committee, and I'm thank you for this opportunity just to say hi and introduce myself. And yes, I'm following the big shoes of Dee Freuche as chairperson of the committee, and I'm taking that position for this coming year as chairperson of Greenways Committee. So looking forward to it, and working with everybody on the committee, come up with new ideas, new things that we can accomplish.
Yeah. And Mike, if you don't mind me putting you on spot, Mike has some extensive background experience, you know, in terms of nature and, you know, and related. Do you mind just saying a few more things about your background?
Yeah, I'm very involved with, I've been involved with the JWP Audubon group. Mercy recognizes me from that. I'm also on the board of Parklands Foundation. And I actually joined the Greenways Committee because I'm a active cyclist and the social media manager, basically, or promoter for the McLean County Wheelers Cycling Association. So almost any day you can find me on Constitution Trail or on a greenway doing something, either coming to and from my job here. And I'm actually right in my office at this time with Illinois Farm Bureau. I'm their senior economist and policy analyst. And I'm oftentimes biking from my home on Broadway down Jersey right to this office, but not today. And I finally just got a little too cold for me. And or I'm doing something else, walking around Tipton, trying to spot birds, or hoping for that first snowy owl that I'm still looking for. So I've been involved with another number of nonprofit organizations in McLean County over the past decades, including United Way and other ones, some of that through IAA Country Farm Bureau, sometimes separate from that.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Regional housing initiatives. That's very cool.
So go for it. Okay. Hello, everyone. Regional Housing Initiative update. So for our Housing Assistance Coalition, he focuses on dispersing COVID-19 related resources. Our members of that coalition have provided over $4.8 million in COVID-19 related assistance to county residents since May of 2020. Statewide, the new Illinois Rental Payment Program opened on December 6th, and it will close on January 9th. The application portal will close on January 9th. So tenants who apply are eligible to receive a one-time grant of up to $25,000 paid directly to their landlord. And this assistance can cover up to 18 months of missed rental payments and 3 months of future rent payments. And the state is also planning on opening a mortgage relief fund for homeowners in the spring of 2022. Applicants for this will be eligible to receive $30,000 in mortgage assistance. And then moving on to our housing data projects, we did present a new mapping application to our regional housing staff committee at December's meeting. This tool will be used to help analyze whether discriminatory housing practices are taking place in our area, and the tool will be, and the data will be updated on an annual basis. MCRPC staff are also continuing to collect housing data and analyze, to help us analyze the current state of the county's housing market. And finally, as for our housing research, a draft of the housing resource guide was presented to the regional housing staff committee, who will be reviewing the document for discussion during January's meeting. Any questions?
How do people that utilize the program, I mean, how do we reach them, or how does the average person that may, benefit from these programs, how do we get that word out? Do we do that through the regional housing initiative or through?
For the COVID-19 resources?
For any of these resources?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different ways. We do have, as far as the COVID-19 resources, we do have a marketing effort going on with some of our partners like Mid-Central Community Action, printed postcards to disperse, and our local partners also receive those postcards to help disperse to members. As far as the work that we do, we have a lot of it posted on our website, and we do work with a lot of our local housing agencies to make them aware, and if they're open, if the tools are open to the public, then we have those available on our website as well.
Great. And does that, excuse me, Ray, I'm sorry, does that reach out to communities outside of Bloomington-Normal then in the county as well?
No, we've focused mostly just, in our county, yeah.
Okay, so the smaller communities would also be within Plain County, would also be eligible for some of these programs potentially?
For the COVID-19 programs?
Yeah, yes, specifically that, but any of the programs, is it countywide or is it more specifically Bloomington-Normal?
If I may, it depends on the programs. Some of the funding resource is available for like some of the city programs, they only for city residents, and same for normal. And then if there's some state programs, they would apply to everybody who qualified. And so we, depending where this money is coming from, and then they have their own kind of restrictions and criteria. And we definitely cannot do it by ourselves to get millions of dollars out to the community, or by our staff. Actually, there's so many community partners, different organizations, and even not just the governmental entities that are involved in getting the word out. You might have seen postcards, you might have seen billboards, maybe buses. I think there's some, just to get the word out, because we meaning we and our partners, we want to give away those money, and we want to people who need them to take advantage of them if they qualify. So I know some of the social service providers, they're so short-staffed because all of a sudden they process so many calls and applications, and sometimes they just be the middleman, to get people to, hey, this is how you apply, and also through the legal services, the parent state, also they a great partner, providing services. It's a great community effort. Not enough money and not enough manpower to have to get the word out and to get people in touch with those programs. But we continue to be kind of facilitator, if you will, even without in absence of the COVID money. We work closely with our partners, especially with the town of Normal, City of Bloomington, and other local social service providers to get the word out, or some of the research staff do to help the folks who actually implement them to understand and to support them. Actually, that's a lot of our role is to give them support, to give them the research and the findings so that they can devise their programs and to carry out their programs.
Thank you. I think it's a fantastic program and something that I love to see out there. And before I was on this commission, I wasn't aware of those resources. That's why I was curious, because I just think it's great what we're doing as the commission, and in collaboration with other entities that are helping implement that. I think it's fantastic. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And as you can imagine, I stated before about some of the new members, our focus more typically is more on affordable housing, because we got in city and town, they got the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant money from the federal government, and we are sub-recipient, and the other partners in the area also get this funding through the city and the town, and so that's where the needs are. But then the market seems kind of unusual for us, both on the market rate side and affordable. We know there's always needs a gap for the affordable housing, but then also the situation is getting it so unusual with the hot housing market, with the market rate housing. So we try to, kind of keep track or keep tab of what's going on, have strike balance, but continue not overlooking the affordable housing.
Thank you.
Any other questions on housing? Thanks, Tessa.
Thank you.
Jennifer, the phaser project?
Yeah.
Update?
And this is not just I too will have my back to the camera. Because there are some new people joining us today, I'm going to briefly explain this project. PASER stands for, I have to read this, pavement evaluation, pavement surface evaluation and rating. And it's one of several large rating systems that used to analyze pavement conditions. And in this case, it's new for the town of Normal. So this project was intended to bring the town into line with Bloomington and McLean County and how they do their pavement evaluation, so that we can have a picture of certainly the entire urbanized area, really the whole county. So we can use that information to evaluate projects and see if they're going to be productive in terms of improving pavement conditions throughout the area. This is, as I said, being conducted by the town of Normal with the help of a state planning and research grant. Despite the confusing name, this is actually federal funding that is granted to us through the Illinois Department of Transportation. Two tracks to this project at the current point. A lot of work has been done already by the consultant who was retained, and they have sent vehicles all through the town of Normal to take pictures and do other kinds of sensing of pavement conditions. A lot of the information that was derived from that in preliminary form has been turned over to the town of Normal, and the town is currently reviewing the information that they've received about the sort of assigned rating based on those scans and photography, and determining if they have questions or comments or objections to any of it in terms of the final rating to be assigned in the system. They expect to do that for the next month or so, not quite clear exactly. And there's still more data to come, but for the most part, they have received what was derived from the sensing process. The consultants, in the meantime, are working on establishing an implementation plan for the software that they will be licensing to the town to continue the work using this information. So that's a major part of this. The town will be trained in how to use it and how to use the evaluations in a more productive fashion than the old system where they were kind of not in sync with everyone else. And eventually we will have a unified system where we can look at this information, again, across the community, and use that information to make good decisions about priority projects and how they should be carried out in the context of pavement changes or improvements. Any questions? Oh, good. Thank you.
No questions. Thanks, Jennifer. Next was the 5G project update. Ray, you're going to do that?
Yes, please. Yeah. The 5G project, just for people who are kind of new to this, this is the project's funded by us, the Regional Planning Commission, but then the work primarily is more for the urban area, for the town, and also the city. Looking at 5G, and we all know the 5G technology is here, and the service providers been putting up equipment, antennas, come not the way the community desires, but then we don't have a lot of control sometimes because the FCC actually has more control and leaving some limited leeway for the municipalities to pose control. So consultant was hired to look at to assess the current regulations of the town and the city in terms of telecommunications, antennas, equipment, all those facilities, and then also to suggest changes if needed, and also to propose any criteria or conditions for aesthetics, if we don't have control for where and how large and how tall those facilities are, so what other aesthetics mechanisms can be imposed to make it look nicer, that type of thing. And so staff from both the town and the city have been working hard with the consultants and they're really wrapping up the project. In fact, there's a meeting tomorrow, kind of looking at the final draft and see if any changes needed, and then the consultants will make those final changes so they can wrap up the project hopefully by the end of the month.
Right, I just have one quick question. I know in other municipalities, particularly larger ones, there seems to be a little bit of a conflict between 5G and airports and such. Are we seeing any of those issues? Is Carl seeing some of those?
But I'll let him answer, Mr. Olson.
Yeah, thanks. For Carl, I'd say we're watching it. We don't have a lot. We haven't experienced anything yet, and nobody's reached out to us.
Okay.
What we've been advised is this is a conversation taking place between two federal agencies, the FCC and the FAA, and that airports and airlines have kind of weighed in, and we're concerned about possible interference with electronics in aircraft, especially the altimeter, which is a rather important instrument if you want to know how high off the ground you are. But we're kind of waiting for guidance coming from DC. So I don't have more on that at this time, but I have a quick question. Our office has received a significant number of new airspace studies from the FAA just since Christmas regarding cellular towers and work on existing cellular towers in our community. And I'm curious if this has anything to do with the 5G.
Not that I'm aware of, but when we at the meeting tomorrow, I can raise it to the consultant, and then maybe I can have them to contact you directly if that's okay, Mr. Olson.
That would be very kind. Thank you. Again, this might just be everyday run-of-the-mill equipment updates or equipment maintenance. I don't know, but it's curious that they're just coming in groups and when they've been quiet for so long, and I was just curious to see if that was part of it. So, yeah, if you'd have somebody contact us, we'd be very appreciative. Thank you.
Yeah, the consultants primarily the task has been to really look at the right of ways, in the city and towns, because a lot of times we'll see the service providers to put it like next to the traffic lights, for example, or the sidewalk. So not as much as like the airport property, I don't think. And but they also have been studying how the recently adopted the infrastructure bill by the Congress and signed by the president, because there are some provisions regarding broadband and infrastructure, telecommunications, and how that may apply. And I don't know if it does for the airport, but then they're also looking at all the recent work or funding resource or restrictions or regulations on that. But I'll definitely bring that to their attention tomorrow, and then maybe have them to contact you before they wrap up the project.
Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions on the 5G project? The next item on this agenda is the Vision Zero Go Save, which is two projects really combined.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Jennifer.
Yeah, outside if Jen have anything else to add. Again, for those who may not be too familiar with this, because you're kind of new, the Vision Zero is actually more like an international movement, started in Sweden, 1997, and kind of came over across the ocean, to this part of the world. It's basically this Vision Zero. The idea is to bring the number of casualties, either traffic or major casualties, to zero, and that's the concept. And so, for those folks who were not here in the last year and a half, the commission did, the Regional Planning Commission did commission a study with funding provided by IDOT to conduct this Vision Zero study, which got named to Go Safe, to cut the brand, to message what's entailed. So basically, it's a traffic safety. And so planning process was concluded April of this year. It was adopted by this very regional planning commission in April of this year, 2021. And so we've been kind of a lot of great ideas, primarily looking at the three different areas. One is the infrastructure, the other is on technology and data, and then the third is the cultural change. And so kind of three big areas with more detailed strategies, recommendations contained in each of those three areas. And so it's Six and I've been kind of doing a lot of kind of educating the different groups. We need to do more, but it's a committee-wide project to implement, make the area safer. And then with the one of the key things out of that safety project was that the Veterans Parkway was identified as the most dangerous roadway in our community, right? And we all know that. And there were people, unfortunately, they were killed in 2019, at least 2 casualties. And so, and you remember the race grants that we applied for July of 2021. It recently got awarded by the federal government, and it was called RACE grant, stands for Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. We applied to re-envision, we plan this 80-year-old Veterans Parkway that was built in 1941, and with much going on around both sides of the roadway, and now you know what's on both sides, and carrying a lot of traffic. People who live and work close to that roadway, 6 to 12 lanes, much sidewalks, not conducive to pedestrians or cyclists or people taking the public buses. So the grant that we received is to really to look at that. And so I would call this one of the major step 2s in implementing the Vision Zero project, because but it's going to be it will take a few years, for looking at this 10-mile roadway with is an existing roadway dealing with the traffic and just to replan, let alone reconstruction. But we had to start somewhere, and we are fortunate that we are one of 27 entities in the whole country got this RACE planning grant. So and the only one in the state of Illinois. So we just fortunate to have this opportunity to really work on this. Also, maybe not be once in a lifetime, but it is once in a lifetime opportunity to look at this major roadway, this 80-year-old. So it's like another 80 years to down the road, but we try to do it right. So it'll be. We just had a conversation with Federal Highways Administration, the representative who's been assigned to this project, and also the IDOT representative. And we also have some local funders providing the local measures. And of course, the bulk is from IDOT, who's really generous to support this project. So at this moment, we're waiting for the agreement to come from Washington, D.C., from the U.S. Department of Transportation. They're working on the agreement with all the different grantees. And so we're waiting for that. And it might take a little bit because they have so much grant money for in different programs. But what we plan on doing is to hire a consulting team to work on this, and with staff and the local supports, with public inputs and community engagement. And we hope to make it a much better, safer roadway.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we know the RAISE grant money will be a multi-year study. I'm unfamiliar in this area. Can you speak to maybe the potential for additional grant monies if infrastructure spending is required after that point?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this planning grant only would give us like a planning document, right, at the end of the study. And it's going to take, even after the agreement size, probably take 2.5 years at least to get it done for a roadway of this long and this complexity. and which is not unusual. And so while there's some more details might need to be worked on with IDOT, because like right now, as some of you may know, like a year ago or so, I think we're looking at the intersection of Route 9 and Veterans Parkway, and also that's one of the most dangerous intersections. So they actually had another consulting team looking at the intersection, and so we kind of had to work together. Okay, now with the whole corridor to be visited, how that work out with some of the ongoing studies. That's one example. But I think the sooner we get the plan done, not to rush it, but to get it done properly, that will pave a good way for us to seek further funding for construction and reconstruction, and that doesn't necessarily have to be just federal money. It could be IDOT money because IDOT owns the road, and so maybe a joint effort or something. If there's even for the implementation after the plan is done for the planning, under the planning grant, it's going to take some time. Just so you know too, for any reconstruction, because there's another process that will take some time. But yeah, definitely after the plan is done, then we know what is a better result, what the roadway should be like. Then if there's certain things that can be done in an incremental fashion, I think maybe they could be considered a priority without really jeopardizing the current capacity of the roadway or the load of the roadway. Yeah, so we'll constantly work looking maybe toward the later part of the planning process to start keeping eyes open to potential money funding.
Thanks for explaining.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
In addition to the RAISE grant, and that project is obviously major and very important, there's going to be some short-term programs that will also address the Go Safe issue. For example, the Friends of the Constitution Trail has received a Safe Routes to School grant, which can be part of this. We've talked to them about this. Bicycle training for children and various and sundry similar things. I'll get into this. There'll be more of that as time goes on. And finally, both the Veterans Parkway project, anything else we do under Go Safe, and the Go Safe action plan itself and its recommendations are all being folded into our new, what we used to call a long-range transportation plan, but we now call a metropolitan transportation plan, which we'll be working on all this year and finishing up in the fall. And so that will be a major impact on goals we establish, on recommendations that we make in that plan, and how to proceed with it.
Thank you, James. Yeah, we actually we constantly, even for the Go Safe plans, sometimes it's not just the money. Also, we're looking for time, and when we get full staff, a staff planner to be assigned, to oversee the implementation of the actual plan. There are different parts of money. It's not necessarily from the federal government or the state. Sometimes there could be some foundations money could be made available for the safety. Even with the infrastructure plan, I've noticed there are some funding possibilities in terms of safety, transportation safety.
Thanks, Ray. So, Ray did provide a schedule of meetings for the rest of this year. You want to speak to that, Ray?
Yeah, thank you. So included in your agenda package, there was a schedule just to list, for the rest of the year. It's still the first Wednesday at 4 p.m. Unless we cancel the meeting, that it will go according to the schedule. So if you have any questions, let me know. But basically we do that every year, and provide you the annual schedule.
Okay. Is there any other business that should come up?
Mr. Chair, Carl from the airport, I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Carl.
Thank you. Looking to get a consensus from you and from Ray and from the members on remote participation, at least until some of this surge in transmission dies down a bit? Is this, if I were to participate virtually, does that create a conflict for the organization? I'm just wondering because we are experiencing some challenges across the airport and we're really kind of pulling in our tent flaps a little bit. And I just kind of want to see how I can cover both bases at the same time during the February meeting.
Thanks, Mr. Carlson, for bringing this up. So we, the county, been operating under the executive order of the governor. And the current one that we are going with requires that all the meetings, at least the county is concerned, and which has been adopted, is all the meetings have to be in person unless it is you meet 1 to 3 exemptions allowed by the Open Meetings Act. And I checked with the legal counsel, and that's how we've been operating. But we would note that that current version of executive order is supposed to expire like this coming weekend. So who knows what will happen, because the prior version to today's version actually allows for some of you who've been on the commission longer, virtual meeting and be counted as legally present, officially present for the meeting. And so they got changed, back in I think late June of 2021 or early July. When the updated or renewed governor's order was issued, and so there was some changes in the wording, and as a result, so we have to go with what we are facing today. Basically, bringing you back, as you recall, for some of you, we used to hold this meeting virtually. But because the order and also the county's adoption of that, so Mr. Olson, to answer your question, my person is maybe we'll see maybe by the weekend that we know what the next version will be like.
So it's not a decision that we can make as a commission.
Right, it's a county-wide thing. The county board, as you may be aware, same thing with county board and the executive and all the other county board committee meetings. So they can't bring everybody, have to be in person to be counted.
Okay.
So there isn't a minimum.
I appreciate that. We'll see what happens after the 10th, and thank you very much.
There isn't a minimum number that have to be.
So yes, there is. According to that executive order and the OMA, the Open Meetings Act, we need to have a quorum in person to account for the quorum, to be counted as for the quorum. Meaning, we need 6 people to be counted for as a quorum. Under the current executive order, then we need 6 members in person at the meeting to have the quorum to hold the meeting officially. We can have more, but we can only account for those who are present in person unless those meets the exemptions allowed by the OMA. At least we'll see what happens this coming weekend.
Yep.
And we'll probably get guidance for the legal counsel.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Go ahead. That's Carly. Okay. Anything else? We'd be open for a motion to adjourn.
So
Second, Bart? We don't have to vote.
Any more?
All in favor?
Aye.
So, thank you both.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you in February.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.
Everyone's on the left, say it's about 10 degrees, it's in show 7 below right now. Yes.
Charles. I prefer to go with like Charles or Chuck.
Chuck.
Okay. Okay.
Can we exit out the front door, or we have to go out through the?
We have not been notified. We say try the front door first. And
Actually, it's much easier to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we watched to find out about the activity was over.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Efficient.